Hey Falcons, how you doing today? I hope you had a good week of digital learning. Out in my backyard once again. Here's a nice iris that's getting ready to blossom. These irises came from my first grade teacher, and I was her landscaper and stuff in high school, so she gave these to me, and I ended up bringing them to Georgia with me. This peony right here that's blossomed came from my grandmother's house, so we brought those down also. But anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about the limiting factors in a freshwater biome lab, so I'm going to put my thinking hat on. I probably should have done this before you took the lab assessment, but I want you to think about something. The data in that lab showed that the deeper water, which is colder, did not have as much oxygen in it. Now, deep water or cold water usually has more oxygen. It holds more dissolved oxygen. But in this situation, the data showed that the deeper water did not have oxygen. Well, why is that? The reason is because the phytoplankton, algae, produces the oxygen. Well, was there any phytoplankton at the deepest depths? No, there wasn't. Why not? Because there's a limiting factor for phytoplankton, and that is the sunlight. Sunlight could not penetrate deep enough to get the algae to survive at those lower depths. So no sunlight penetrating that far down, no phytoplankton, meaning no oxygen produced. So there's a limiting factor for phytoplankton, which is light penetration. The phytoplankton produces oxygen, but there's no phytoplankton at those lower depths. Now, oxygen, we know, is a limiting factor for fish and other organisms that live there. So sometimes at those deeper depths, if there's not a lot of oxygen, fish can't survive down there. So, and it depends on the time of year, depends on the type of pond or lake we're dealing with. There's also something called lake turnover, where a couple times a year, the water from the top and the bottom kind of does a big switch. And that's something worth looking up and learning about, because that ties in when people really get into owning ponds and lakes, if they fish in and do things, they're always going to start to understand the lake turnover, light penetration, phytoplankton. But limiting factors can be biotic or abiotic. I hope you enjoyed the lab. Y'all have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.